Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, Ambassador Sam Brownback, served as Ambassador at Large for the International Religious Freedom. He served as Governor of Kansas, and he represented his home state in the United States Senate and House of Representatives. While a member of the Senate, he worked actively on the issue of human rights around the world, including religious freedom. He was a key sponsor of the Iran Democracy Act and the Iran Democratic Transition Act. In June 2003, in a historic moment, he brought a number of his colleagues in the Senate to defend Mrs. Madame Rajavi in Paris, who was victimized by a shameful deal with the Iranian regime. Ladies and gentlemen, a good friend of the Iranian resistance, please help me give a warm welcome to Ambassador Sam Brownback.
Thank you. Welcome! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What a pleasure to join you. And let me say a couple of quick things at the outset. Number one, I am amazed and I honor your staying with the fight to see it through. It's time for regime change, and you've fought for it for decades, and it's going to happen. Hang in there, keep fighting for this, for the regime change. And if I could do something, as we used to say in the Senate, a moment of personal privilege. Both John McCain and Joe Lieberman were good friends of mine. They believed in this movement as I do. We fought together in the United States Senate for this movement for regime change. And I have to believe and think that they are watching from heaven now, calling for regime change in Tehran. We believed in it. We believe in it. So thank you. I speak for them as well. The world must support a free, democratic Iran, or you will likely see a nuclear holocaust in the Middle East. One or the other. Either a democratic, free Iran or nuclear holocaust in the Middle East. And the world and the UN body needs to hear that and look with reality of what is happening now in the Middle East and in Iran. We need maximum diplomatic, economic, and political pressure on the rulers of Iran. We need global economic sanctions on the regime. It is already weak economically, and we need to take more dollars away from that regime. The dollars they have go into terrorism, and the world cannot afford that. We need global diplomatic pressure on the regime. And we need international support for regime change in Iran. International support for that taking place. The U.S. and other allies of freedom must publicly support the courageous protesters inside Iran and recognize their movement. There must be free elections in Iran where candidates of different parties and viewpoints are allowed on the ballot. There must be an independent judiciary in Iran. There must be freedom of religion and separation of religion and state. The Iranian regime attacks even other Islamic countries and are a top terrorist funder and organizer as a country of terrorists around the world. Iran, Russia, China comprise an alliance of evil seeking dictators to run the world and are conducting a war on freedom. We will stand against them in their war on freedom. This war on freedom must be stopped at all costs, and it must be stopped now. The principal way to stop it is regime change in Iran. That's the principal way to stop this fight. So we need lovers of democracy and human rights advocates and those who support religious freedom and religious groups, Christians and Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, to support regime change in Iran. We need all those groups to come forward and do that. We need nations around the world who don't want nuclear war, to support regime change in Iran and a nuclear-free Iran. This is critical for freedom of the world. It's critical to save the world to have this regime change. One of the biggest blows to the axis of evil of China, Russia, and Iran would be regime change in Tehran. That would be a huge blow to that group. If you want to end the war in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah, then back regime change in Tehran. If you want to end that war, we need change in Tehran. The mullahs started this war, and it will not end until they are removed from power. It's that direct. It is directly connected. The U.S. must publicly support the uprisings inside Iran, as I said, as I repeat. We need a change of policy positions to support the resistance inside of Iran and back autonomy of Iranian Kurdistan as well. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just finish with this point and this thought. We're at a critical hour. We are at a critical moment for the whole world. Will we stand for freedom or allow tyranny and nuclear blackmail to grow and consume more and more of the world? That's the choice at this moment. Not to act decisively now is to acquiesce to a darker future. And we will not allow that. It is time. It is time to take a stand. Free Iran. Regime change in Iran. Join me with this. Regime change in Iran. 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 Fight for it.